In today's episode, I will meet Wayne Goss, who is known worldwide, and I've known him and followed him for years. So it's such an honor and pleasure to have you with me here today. So welcome, Wayne, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here. Thank you.
But for listeners who might meet you for the very first time today, what is the passion that has shaped your life?
Well, I am a makeup artist. And I suppose makeup is what shaped my life. Makeup and makeup brushes shaped my life. And also to a certain extent, skincare, because it was skin that actually, or my own problematic skin that got me into the makeup arena to begin with.
But let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
What were you like as a child?
I was quiet. I've always been quiet, still am today. I prefer my own company. Very introspective, not creative in the slightest. I liked to read a lot as a child. And in school, I didn't have a wonderful time, but I kind of was always okay just plodding along, being myself quietly.
I think that's actually quite important and beautiful thing that you say that, because there are many children out there today that can be introvert, but we're always trying to get them to be extrovert and play with kids and being very social. But actually, when you are that as a child, that you have your own space and world, sometimes you just need to let the kids be there because they are happy in their world.
Indeed.
But when did you first become aware of makeup and skincare?
I didn't really see much of it as a child. My mother, and to this day, still doesn't wear makeup. I would have been about 20 years old, and I developed acne quite severely across my cheeks and a little bit around the hairline. And it was incredibly distressing for me, to say the least. Point where I wouldn't look in mirrors. I would wash my face without the lights on. It was a horrible experience. And getting rid of that and finding the skincare ingredients that could help deal with acne, I became absolutely obsessed. And also at the time when I had it, I was obsessed with trying to hide it. And I did a very bad job as well. I think when I look back, I think I didn't know what I was doing. So I was putting foundation on to hide it, and it was thick and heavy. It probably looked worse than the acne that was there.
Yeah.
But it just triggered this something inside me where I became obsessed with skin and covering things and perfecting the face.
I think there are many teenagers out there that is struggling, but probably maybe the products is better today also, I believe. Maybe back then when we were younger, the products were maybe more heavy, I suppose. But do you remember the first moment when makeup truly fascinates you?
I do. I think it was probably a product called Bare Minerals. And back then, Bare Minerals looked very different than it did today. It came in this wonderful box. And there was, I've never seen anything like it. And when I applied it to my skin, which is very oily, everything that I didn't like vanished and looked like skin. And there was this genuine, just this moment where I thought, this is what I want to do. I didn't know how, but I knew that this was something I wanted to be a part of.
Wow. So already as a teenager, could you feel that the beauty and skincare would become a part of your life?
Not at the time. I knew it was going to become a part of my life somehow. I didn't know it would become a career because I didn't really know how I would do that. I certainly didn't come from money. and there were very little opportunities where I lived. But I knew that I was obsessed with this, and I was fascinated, and I was consuming as much information as I could get. And I think the internet had only just kind of turned on at that point, or I was aware of it.
Mm.
Wasn't a lot of information, but I bought as many books as I could afford to try and teach myself about makeup.
Yeah, it's very different today.
Yeah.
It's like you have YouTube, you have all the information you ever get. But I mean, when we were younger, you had to, like, as you say, buy books, buy magazines, collect all the information you could get. And
Good days.
were there moments growing up when you felt different because of your passion? Because it was another world back then when we were young. And I can also imagine being a young boy having interest in makeup and skincare.
So my interest in skincare and makeup didn't really start until I was about 20. But being different as a child, I was aware that I was gay, and we're talking about 1990, so to speak. Around about that time, it was a very different world, and I felt very different. I was always drawn towards the more arty things, coloring, colors, things like that as a child, but I was never very good at them either. But I always felt out of place growing up. I never felt like I belonged in any group. And back then as well, you couldn't really discuss your feelings the same way you can now. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, because sometimes there's oversaturation as well. I felt very different growing up. And I was, like I said, I was very quiet because I was different.
Said back then the world was so different. And also the makeup. I guess today you have a completely other palette also of colors. Back then we had just few colors. And it certainly didn't fit your skin always. And again, as a boy or a girl, it's not so easy.
No, there were challenges, put it that way. But
Yeah.
back then I didn't know anything about makeup. I didn't know about undertones. I didn't know about anything. It was just trial and experiment. But the one thing I didn't do ever was give up. I just kept, I remember putting on blusher for the first time, and it just looked like a horror story. And it never occurred to me to just stop. I just didn't get it right. So I started again and again until I understood how to use these products. I never, ever gave up.
I remember I had blue mascara and I had white Nivea, white lips. It was the 80s. I had white lips, blue mascara, probably some red blush, and my what is it called? A bang?
Yes.
Your hair. Yeah, it was down here. So you were walking, like trying to look underneath your hair.
Yeah.
It was different. Who supported you most those early years? Did you have a family who supported you, or was it someone else?
No, it was both. I was fostered as a child, so I've never been particularly close with my biological family. My partner, especially when YouTube started, was incredibly supportive. It is to this day as well, incredibly supportive of my endeavors and the things that I'm passionate about. There is no one else I know that cheerleads for me the same way. So I'm incredibly grateful for that.
Yeah, often you just need one that truly believes in you. Then the world can go against you. But what does being a makeup artist mean to you beyond technique and products?
For me, it isn't a transformational thing. I was never a particularly talented makeup artist. So for me, it was about being able to explain something to somebody and know that it would make an impact, that showing them how to apply foundation correctly or concealer or blusher, whatever it is. Those were the moments that I like and I love still to this day, is because I think we can all feel very bad about the way we look, and makeup can help us to feel better about ourselves. That's what I love. I don't really love the application of it. I love the way that somebody feels when I'm explaining it to them.
Yeah, I was just watching a video, I think it was yesterday or something, about blush, how to apply blush when you get in our age with the apples. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, wow, I'll keep that one. So you do help people.
Thank you.
But you're also known as an expert in skincare. Where did that deep passion begin? Was it like with the acne when you were a teenager?
Yeah, absolutely. So the acne sort of hit in my early 20s, about 20, and I didn't know what to do. And there was this serendipitous moment where, because I remember the internet I had just become aware of the internet, and I purchased a book from Paula Begon. I think it's called The Beauty Bible. And by the time that it had arrived, the irony is my acne had almost gone. I used a very aggressive approach with benzoyl peroxide. And there was a website, and there still is, called acne.org. And it's a very aggressive website using benzoyl peroxide, and it works beautifully. And and it's no word of a lie, within the space of, I would say, 6 days, 95% of my acne had gone.
Wow.
And I was just blown away. I was obsessed at that point. And when Paula Begon's book arrived, I consumed that book over the course of 2 days. And my mind was blown by the possibilities of what we could do to our skin. And if my skin could heal so quickly, what could I also do to protect it, to keep it looking as good as it can for as long as it can?
What fascinates you the most about skincare science and ingredients? I mean, now I understand more when you talk about this Ben's something you said. And I mean, that must be a really eye opener, so to say. So it's something you implement today, or you give advice?
Yeah, I don't need to use benzoyl peroxide now, because now I'm 48. My skin is very different than it was when I was sort of 20. Now I use different ingredients, but I'm still really minimalistic when it comes to my skincare. I use only what I think works and nothing else at all.
But you are always discovering and testing new products because you have a huge YouTube channel, and I tell everyone to go in and have a look there because you give so many great advices. But you're always discovering and testing like new products and makeup. What drives that curiosity?
I think it's still a love for the game, for makeup, for skincare. While I don't always believe the claims that a lot of the products come with, I still love new launches. I still love new releases. I still love new textures. I'm still looking for a product that's better than the one that I'm currently using so I can recommend it. I just love it. I really do.
You can feel it in your videos when we're watching you on Insta or YouTube or TikTok or wherever. You always have that glow, and yeah, you can see the passion in you that you have for it. But do you feel a responsibility towards your audience when you are recommending products?
Yes and no. Yes, I'm doing my best to recommend a product that I think is good and that I've had a good experience with, but at the same time, people need to understand that everyone's skin is different. What my skin reacts to, yours may not, and vice versa. So I could love a product, you could use it, and it could be horrible, and it just doesn't suit you. And there's nothing we can do about that. So I try and be very honest about how I approach a product, why I like a product, and also why it just may not be for you, despite me loving it.
Yeah, and I can see in your videos now you use more humor, and often it cracks me up. Like, yeah, you have that twist on it. Yeah, I
do.
just love it. But how do you stay inspired in the beauty industry? I mean, it's constantly changing.
It is. I stay inspired by not losing what I think is beautiful. I do not find the current beauty trends beautiful. I prefer beauty. I prefer the no makeup look. I prefer people to look like themselves. And even when there's full glam and it's Instagram makeup, and I look at it and I think, okay, fine. But I stay inspired by the past, by my vision of beauty and what I think beauty should be. And it should ask.
So do you have a role model today? And if you have, why?
I don't have a role model, but what I do have is I remember seeing an advert in the early 90s. This was before I was really interested in makeup. And it was for a perfume called Tresson by Lancome. And Isabella Rossellini was the model. And I'd never seen a more beautiful woman in my life. I thought she was so beautiful. And she had this beautiful classic makeup on that was just timeless. And the video is available on YouTube, and it's still beautiful to this day. And when I got into makeup, I never lost that vision of her. And it stayed with me because I think she is still the most beautiful creature.
Yes.
And her voice and her manner and her way of speaking, it's all very elegant. And that's my inspiration, is elegance when it comes to makeup.
Yeah, I so agree with you. But you just recently had your birthday. You turned 48. And so how do you feel about this stage of life?
I feel grateful. There is so much focus on youth, so much focus on erasing lines and wrinkles and all that stuff. And I'm all for trying to look as good as you can. But I don't want to chase youth. I don't want to try and look younger than I am. I think once you start to want to look younger, that's when you go down a very sort of slippery slope and you can start to no longer look like yourself. I think that looking good is all you need to do. I don't think we need to look younger. I'm not against anything either. I don't do Botox. I don't do fillers. Nothing wrong with it. It's not for me. I'm happy with the lines. I'm okay with it. And I think I also realize how short life is and how grateful I am to be alive, to be here at 48 when so many people will not see this age.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Actually, this morning, when I was preparing a little bit for this interview, and it just popped up in my head because since we spoke the other day about getting older, and I was like, I wonder who said that wrinkles are like ugly. When did that become like an ugly thing? And I just realized also that, maybe I shouldn't say realize, but there's so much money involved in this industry. So who said to us that wrinkles are wrong? And as you're saying also, I told you the other day when we spoke that my son just said one day, "Oh, you are so old, Mom," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm so happy that I'm 53, and I'm so happy to just get older and older and older, because the option would be that I wouldn't be here.
Yes.
So I so agree with everything you are saying.
I think it becomes the way I think also view it, and it is an age thing, I think, as well. But if we can become obsessed with wrinkles, we can become obsessed with our skin and all the problems that we see in the mirror. But the moment you're told that you're not well, all those things disappear, because you
Yeah,
don't care anymore about the sagging skin, the wrinkles. All you care about is being well and living and seeing the future.
yeah,
That should remind people of how transient and how non-important a wrinkle is. Because when you are poorly, you do not think of your wrinkles, you think about getting better.
yeah. Yeah, I so agree. So agree. But has your relationship with beauty changed since you got older?
Yeah, I care less. That's the
Mm.
truth. I tried Botox in my late 20s, early 30s. It gave me a very immobile forehead, and that was it. I didn't look a day younger. And the older I got, the more I cared less, the more I was aware of everything around me and the people around me and the people that were no longer here in my life.
Mm.
I just stopped caring. I never ever look in the mirror and think, oh, I wonder what these would look like if they weren't. I don't care. I
Yeah.
genuinely don't care. And I also think I'm privileged in the sense that I think it's easier for a man to not care as well. And I'm quite aware of that. I think it's pre-programmed within us. We don't really care as much because youth and television film, it's very much focused at women and telling them exactly how they should look. And I completely get that.
I can feel when as I'm getting older now, as you're saying, I don't care so much anymore. And it's such a liberating feeling.
Yeah, it really is.
But what would you say to someone who fears to get older?
I think the same thing I just said. I would remind people that it's not a bad thing to want to look after yourself. It's not a bad thing to do your skincare, to get Botox, whatever it is you like to do. It's not a bad thing. But don't let it become your entire life. If you are chasing a wrinkle and trying to erase it, trust me, within a matter of time, you will stop looking like yourself. And it's a very slow process. I know a lot of people who started off looking one way and now look a totally different person. And they don't see it because it's very gradual. And we've all seen it on celebrities where they mess with their face and they just look off. You don't want to be that person. You really don't.
No, I think it's been more spoken today. You can see it, as you're saying, on social media and things, that it's more out there.
Absolutely.
And it's good in a way, because we start to think also. Our brain kicks in and we start to think a little bit also. But there's a model, Alex Bruni, who is my huge role model. She is just this amazing, wonderful woman. And she said in an episode on my podcast, actually, that aging is not the end of beauty. It is the expansion of it. So what a statement like that means to you?
I think it only means something to those of us who are, I think, 40 plus.
Mm.
I think it will be totally missed on everyone else because it's such a, getting older, it is a privilege, but it's a very gradual process. You don't notice it until one day you do. And one day you're 45 and you're like, oh, and it's an accurate quote. It's an honest quote, but it will be missed on most of the people that are not our age or above.
But I think it's good in our age to hear that also, because I know people that I'm surrounded with. I just had this discussion actually at the party yesterday. There was this beautiful woman who turned 40 and she feared it. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to give her a hug and like embrace it instead.
Yeah, absolutely. You're alive.
Yeah. But do you think the beauty industry is slowly learning to embrace aging?
No, I think pretending to. I do
Mm.
not believe for one moment that the beauty industry cares at all about women over 40. And I genuinely believe that. They are happy to take their money. They are
Yeah.
happy to lie to them and promise them something that cannot be achieved. But I do not believe for one moment that they care at all.
Mm. Yeah, again, we come down to the money.
Yes.
As I said, who said that wrinkles were ugly? But you have spent many years observing faces, I mean, up close as a makeup artist and skincare expert. What have those faces taught you about who we are as human beings?
That's such an interesting question. I think I tell you one thing that it's taught me is you can never judge a book by its cover. Sometimes you can have the most beautiful face in front of you and the personality that goes with it is rotten. And
Mm.
it no longer looks beautiful anymore. And
Mm.
so you can have somebody that the world might think is incredibly average, and they could be the kindest person or funny or whatever it is, and their whole face becomes something else. I think that's what it's taught me. Never judge a book by its cover.
I believe it's a little bit when we fall in love also. That, I mean, when we find a partner, that partner becomes so beautiful in our soul and mind. I mean, when I fall in love, it's always the small, quirky things that I fall in love with. And I don't like perfection because I think it's more interesting when there's cracks, so to say. I love the quirkiness, and that person becomes so beautiful. And I think that goes back to what you are saying quite much.
Absolutely. I mean, it is, I couldn't agree with you more.
Mm. So, what role do you think vulnerability and honesty plays in beauty?
As far as the beauty industry is concerned, I don't think it plays any role. I don't think they're honest in the slightest to anyone, themselves, and especially to the people that they're selling products to. They lie constantly. For me, it plays a massive role. I consider myself a very honest person. I find that quality very attractive in others. I love vulnerability as well. I like people to be, because I have such a dark sense of humor. I like people to be who they are, so I can be who I am.
Yeah.
And then we're not I'm not on my best behavior because I really do have a terrible sense of humor. And I don't want to hide it because it's who I am. It's part of who I am. And I don't want other people to hide who they are either. Because if you're going to like me, you're going to like me. I want you to like me for who I am, really, not this better version that you're seeing.
Yeah. I can't agree more. And I remember, I mean, when we talk about it, I told you the other day also, when I felt like I connected to you the most was when we have a common friend, Sonia G, and it was her wedding, and we were both invited. And she told me, well, Wayne can't come because he can't go on the plane. And I was, oh, thank God. I'm not the only one that has this anxiety of flying. And I was like, oh, I just love Wayne, because I felt like I could be myself also.
Absolutely.
But if makeup disappeared from the world tomorrow, we woke up and there was no makeup, what would you think we would discover about beauty that we might not have seen before?
I think if plastic surgery could go with it, injectables, anything like that. I think what we would see is who we really are.
Yeah.
And I think that's just fine. I think
Yeah.
it's okay to see yourself as you are and be who you are, wrinkles, problems, everything. I would love to see that, because if you look in history, throughout history, the faces that we see today, they never existed before in history, ever. There was no fillers, no Botox, none of those things around in the early part of the 1900s, the 1950s, the 1960s, they didn't exist. We all had these, but there were these beautiful faces. And then it got distorted. And I would like to see that again. I would like to see the normality of people's faces without them being grotesquely altered.
That's so interesting. And that is so true. I mean, yeah, my mind just went back. I mean, the age where, I mean, we had Cleopatra, when I think she was using, didn't she use some fruit or something, to make blush? It was,
There.
yeah. And then, can you imagine how toxic it must be? The makeup must have been back in the days when you had a white,
Yeah.
you want it to be pale.
People did extreme things throughout history to be beautiful. And there's no doubt some of them died from trying these rituals. So it's always been within us to want to look better. But it is only in the 1990s, early 2000s, when it exploded into this era of overfilling, overplumping, overstretching.
Mm. Mm.
And Grace Kelly, Audrey Hepburn, Marilyn Monroe, those things didn't exist then. You were either beautiful or you were not. And it's not that you shouldn't look to be beautiful, your most beautiful self. You should, of course you should, but not at the expense of altering your face into something that it just no longer resembles.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to what is beautiful. So I think social media influence, especially maybe no, I shouldn't say the teenagers. We are so influenced by it and feed every day how we
Yeah.
should look like. But I mean, if you go back and can you imagine someone coming today with a pale white face, pink circles on their cheek, and they are like in a wig, white wig.
Yeah.
And that was the normal beauty.
Yeah.
But it looks funny. I mean, it's a little bit clown-like. But that was beauty back then. Or when I had my blue mascara
Yeah.
and white lips.
It's all very generational. Every era has its look. And while I don't care for those extreme looks, it doesn't mean that I'm right either. People can do whatever they want. If they are genuinely happy with in big lips or big cheeks or whatever it is they're doing, then good for you. Be happy. I want you to be happy. I may not like it. You may not like how I look. That's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
I think just the sadness in this, I agree with you. The only sadness is when the money and the industry tells you how to look so they can gain more money.
Yes.
But what has been the greatest gift that your passion has given you as a human being?
Financial freedom.
Mm.
If I'm being completely honest, that is the greatest gift that it gave me, because I never knew that I could make a living out of this.
Mm.
Never occurred to me. There was no YouTube when I started. So I had no idea that 16, 20 years, no, 20, 26 years on, that this would be my life.
Yeah.
So I'm incredibly grateful for it.
But what did you do before YouTube?
So, do you mean as a job?
Yeah.
So, I did several things. So, originally, I was obsessed with hair. Really wanted to be a hairdresser as a child, and I was probably practicing hair from about the age of 8, right the way up until about 17. And at that point, I became very interested in nutrition and exercise, and I ended up doing that. And once I completed all the exams, I then realized that, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to talk about food. I don't want to talk about exercise. And I didn't know what I was going to do. So I worked for a financial advisor for a number of years. And then I worked for the BBC. And during that time, I was becoming more and more obsessed with makeup. I did a spot of TV makeup for about 4 minutes and I hated it. It was so boring. It was just standing around on set all day long, just doing nothing. It was horrible. Out in the wind and the rain. I knew it wasn't for me. And that's about the time I started to upload videos to YouTube as well. So that's when everything sort of slowly started to alter the course of my life.
Yeah, now it's just exploded. I mean, you are huge on YouTube. And I've been following you for also, must be 20 years.
It's a long time I've been there.
Oh, Jesus, yes, long time. And I can see also the change. But I mean, it's not just that you have changed because YouTube have changed. Everything has changed. The social media has changed. Everything is different today. It's more quick.
Yeah.
But if you could leave one message about self-acceptance for the next generation, what would it be?
I know it's so ridiculous because I find it hard to accept, but it is okay to be who you are, to be what you are. You know, that I say that because I'm quite a quiet person by nature. I'm a very thoughtful person. I get very hurt easily, but I also have this very dark sense of humor, which doesn't really work well with each other because one side's quite extreme, one side's very soft, one side's very hard. But it's okay to just be exactly who you are. You will never be everybody's cup of tea. And trust me, social media lets you know that really quickly. But that's okay too. I don't think those voices should be censored. I just think that just as you best you can, be who you are.
Yeah, it's good words. I think that's also an age thing sometimes.
I believe so.
Up in our age that something happens with you. Suddenly you don't care anymore.
Truly, I do not give a shit about a lot of things I cared about as a child or as a.
Yeah, and I wish I could tell my youngest me that everything will be all right. Don't care so much. The world will keep on going.
Absolutely.
But finally, when people think about Wayne Goss years from now, what do you hope they will remember?
I hope they will think that I taught them something, even if it's so benign as makeup, that there was something I did that made their lives to do with makeup feel easier, feel better. That makes me feel good that people tell me I've helped them. And I like that very much.
Mm. And I think if I can add something to that I felt through all the years and why I have always been happily following your journey and felt connected with you is also because you're such a sweet and kind person. It comes through. And I feel that is such a great gift to live after us when we're not here anymore. If people can remember us as kind and sweethearts and that we spread love in the world, that's such a great gift. We need to teach people sometimes to be kind.
Yeah, trust me, the last couple of years have been quite horrific. And yeah, I couldn't agree more that there does seem to be a lack of kindness in the world, and I would love to see a bit more. Absolutely.
I think you are a great role model, even if you maybe not be aware of it, but I believe you are. And also, I think it's so important people can see that you are successful and you are a sweetheart. So it's okay to be kind. And
I thank you. I don't remember who said it. Maybe nobody said it. I don't know, but I always remember that you can be very, very talented, but if you're not a nice person, nobody wants to be around you. And I did quite well for myself on YouTube and the social media and things like that. But I was never this amazingly talented artist. And there are so many of them out there on YouTube, and not all of them are nice people. And I think I think being nice is probably being easy to be around is probably the best things you can do, because it will get you hired and people will remember you. They will call you. They will ask you. They will help you if you are nice to them. And the ones that aren't, not so much.
And I can see, since I work with marketing and I follow social media trends and feel the energies. And I can see also, as you are saying, maybe some people think we need to be mean or cruel or like to be successful. But then the crowd also, it's like we are mirroring each other.
Yeah. I mean, you only have to look at YouTube, particularly maybe 6 years ago or so. There was this trend of being very unpleasant, really big, popular YouTubers. And it ultimately led to the downfall of all of them.
Yeah.
And even though they're still around today, they're still uploading videos, the damage they cause themselves, they can't repair from it, because people don't forget those videos are here forever.
Yeah.
Sometimes the nicest thing you can do is just to keep your mouth shut and say nothing.
Yeah. We can see that in the comment field sometimes.
Yes, we can.
Like, okay, quiet. Be quiet instead. Well, I was so happy and pleased to have you on, and hopefully we will see you here again. And to everyone who doesn't know Wayne that much yet, please look at YouTube. Where do we find you? Well, I know where to find you.
Yeah, you can find me pretty much on, I'm not very good on TikTok, but I am there. If you just search my name, Wayne Goss, under all the social platforms, I'll pop up somewhere along the way.
Like, hi.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for being with me here today. And as I say, I hope we will see you again in the future.
I really much look forward to it. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.